Good morning to everybody. A very welcome in Cesena. Big welcome to all of you. A special welcome to our speakers coming from Australia, United States, Qatar, and Italy. Most of them are part of the Wellness Foundation Scientific Committee, and we have been starting to work on this workshop in January. So it's great to be here at long last. A special welcome also to all of you coming from very far, so who traveled a long way to reach Cesena. We have participants from 13 countries. So we have participants from the United States, Australia, India, Spain, Portugal, and many other countries. So we are very grateful for you to be here. Big applause to you. Ora, per noi della Wellness Foundation questo è un anno importante perché sono i 20 anni della Wellness Foundation, 20 anni anche della Wellness Valley e 30 anni dall'introduzione del concetto di wellness. E quindi per me è un grande onore chiamare sul palco il nostro presidente Neri Alessandri, che 30 anni fa iniziò a parlare di wellness in un mondo che era completamente diverso da questo, quindi direi con una visione particolarmente avanti. Prego.
Siamo onorati, io mi sento onorato, siamo molto fortunati, tutti noi, che possiamo parlare di un tema così innovativo, così impattante dal punto di vista sociale, e credo che oggi sia un momento di grande riflessione per poter, ognuno di noi, tornare a casa e applicare nel suo mondo l'ispirazione. Noi siamo qui per condividere un'ispirazione. Noi siamo qui per condividere la potenzialità per la healthy longevity, che è la nuova frontiera di tutti, un'opportunità per i giovani, per gli adulti, per gli anziani. Quindi io vi ringrazio per essere tutti qua e far parte di questa community, Wellness Foundation Community, perché tutti i giorni voi, nei prossimi mesi e anni, siete dei professionisti, siete delle persone, degli ambasciatori della salute, della prevenzione. Io credo che sarete contagiosi e contaminerete tutte le persone che vi stanno attorno. Prima di tutto i vostri collaboratori, prima di tutto i vostri team, le vostre aziende, le vostre famiglie, il vostro territorio, i vostri paesi. E così tutti insieme il mondo. Ok? Ci credete? Sì? Ok, let's move for a better world.
Abbiamo detto che l'esercizio sembra essere un farmaco potente, no? Si parla della potenza dell'esercizio, è stato citato Ippocrate, i Romani, ma da un punto di vista scientifico, da quanto si studiano i benefici dell'esercizio? Ecco, l'obiettivo di questo intervento è quello di set the ground, come diceva Federica, cioè cerchiamo di capire che cosa possiamo dire ad oggi con una certa solidità scientifica e perché. Il bello di questo grafico è questo, che se voi considerate le persone poco fit, low vuol dire low cardiorespiratory fitness, diventano semplicemente persone con un fitness moderato, hanno una drammatica riduzione del rischio. Questa è la bella informazione da un punto di vista anche di salute pubblica, cioè i risultati migliori li ottengono le persone sedentarie che diventano moderatamente attive. Quindi la forza ha cominciato 25 anni fa ad assumere grande importanza, oggi sarà trattata molto a fondo, ne parleranno tutti i relatori, no? Adesso c'è una grande esplosione degli studi sulla forza, non perché sia importante avere i muscoli grossi, ma per tutto quello che sottende avere muscoli efficienti da un punto di vista biochimico. Quindi la forza si comporta come il fitness cardiorespiratorio. Ma allora cosa devo fare? Cardio o forza? La risposta sembra banale, ma è tutti e due. Quindi se parliamo di esercizio come medicina, io dovrei teoricamente per la stragrande maggioranza delle patologie, ma non solo, per la stragrande maggioranza delle persone, fare un'attività combinata cardio e forza. Questo è un esempio di uno studio, di una review sugli effetti dell'attività aerobica e di forza sui pazienti diabetici. È chiaro che hanno degli effetti che sono indipendenti. L'attività aerobica sarà fantastica, molto efficace nel ridurre il grasso viscerale, per esempio. La forza funziona benissimo nel migliorare l'insulinosensitività. Chiaro che sommi gli effetti di uno con gli effetti dell'altro e ottengo la magic pill, no? La magic pill è ogni giorno attività fisica, e 2 o 3 volte a settimana attività combinata aerobica e di forza. E adesso possiamo cominciare ad andare a fondo. Buona giornata.
Il mio sarà un po' un antipasto rispetto alle relazioni successive. Daremo un'occhiata al sistema immunitario, ma in particolare alla risposta infiammatoria, che è fondamentale. Poi vedremo come c'è una relazione fra sistema immunitario e tessuto adiposo, in particolare, e stile di vita. Cercherò di sottolineare le domande aperte. Silvano ha sottolineato l'aspetto delle domande aperte sui marginal gains. La risposta infiammatoria è quella che conosciamo tutti, facendo esercizio fisico o sport. La risposta infiammatoria è la manifestazione della prima linea di difesa del sistema immunitario. Quindi la scoperta fondamentale, e questo introduce poi, credo Robert parlerà di cancro, esercizio fisico e immunità. Il cancro non è solo la cellula tumorale, il cancro è un microambiente, del microambiente della nicchia ecologica, è una nicchia ecologica, quindi siamo passati da una visione centrata sulla cellula tumorale, cancer cell centric view, a una visione in cui la nicchia ecologica è altrettanto importante quanto la cellula tumorale stessa. Della nicchia ecologica fanno parte difese immunitarie, delle difese immunitarie che sono deviate, i monociti, macrofagi, che diventano dei piccoli aiutanti della cellula tumorale, dei poliziotti corrotti. Aiutano, promuovono l'angiogenesi, forniscono fattori di crescita e sopprimono le risposte adattative protettive. E poi c'è un fenomeno che abbiamo osservato molto tempo fa, è stato osservato negli insetti, come nella mosca che girava qua. È stato osservato l'avevamo osservato in diverse condizioni. È quella che noi adesso, così parliamo di allenamento, è quella che chiamiamo trained innate immunity. Si può allenare la prima linea di difesa. L'allenamento è basato su meccanismi di tipo epigenetico, è centrato sulla cellula che sta in tutti i tessuti, sono i macrofagi. Mihai Netea, il collega con cui abbiamo scritto questa cosa su New England, ha scoperto che è anche centrato sui precursori e fa sì che queste cellule funzionino meglio da molti punti di vista. Il tono infiammatorio è associato noi abbiamo una sorta di reostato, il tono infiammatorio è associato all'invecchiamento con successo, quello di cui si parlava prima. E ancora una volta un grazie di cuore per il privilegio di essere qui con voi.
So, the last 20 years I've been passionate about trying to improve the longevity of people with cancer. The reason for that is a very close family connection. My father died of prostate cancer. He received a prostatectomy, the removal of his prostate, he then received radiation therapy, and he was told to go home and rest. He had overwhelming fatigue. And as an exercise scientist, I won't say how many years or how many decades I've been an exercise scientist, I knew that this was wrong. I said he just got weaker and smaller. This fatigue only became worse. And I said, come on, Dad, let's go for a walk. Even if we just walk to the front gate and back. He said, no, my urologist told me to rest. That's not a reflection of physicians of the day. That was the clinical understanding that people with cancer should rest. They needed to overcome their disease. 20 years later, and I hope through the course of my slides and presentation today, you'll come to understand that that rest strategy has been totally rejected. And now, in fact, the current recommendation is that all patients with cancer should be exercise on most, if not every day, regardless of cancer type, stage of disease, or even when undergoing difficult treatments. And so in this particular study, we worked with our surgeons to see how much weight can we lose, how quickly can we drop it. We put them on a very low caloric diet here. We also gave them 90 minutes per day of aerobic exercise. Resistance exercise was allowed, but it was not required. And it was up to 12 weeks, depending on when their surgery was scheduled. So, well, we had some nice results here. We certainly dropped body weight, and they also dropped fat mass as well. You can see a considerably average fat loss was 5 kilograms of actual fat, which is great. It's a great outcome. Trunk fat was reduced markedly, visceral fat as well, which is quite good. That's the good news. The bad news is that on average they lost 2.4 kilograms of lean tissue. So that's muscle predominantly. And they lost 1.2 kilograms of muscle just off their arms and legs. That is a major problem. Why? Because there is a direct relationship between sarcopenia, in other words, low muscle mass, and whether you will survive your cancer. Those patients that have low muscle mass will have much worse chemotherapy toxicities or side effects. In fact, I won't present the data today, but we've published studies showing that muscle mass in a cancer patient is more predictive of their survival than fat mass. Yes, if you are, as our previous speaker pointed out, very importantly, if you are overweight, it will compromise your mortality. But also what we showed is the effect of low muscle mass in cancer patients is a greater predictor of their death than is being high fat mass. My take-home message for cancer, people with cancer or clinicians, if you are managing someone with cancer, is the patient has to avoid being sedentary. If the patient is sedentary, they are greatly compromising their ability to tolerate the treatments and greatly compromising their body's capacity to fight the disease. They should exercise on most, if not every day. Exercise prescriptions should be tailored to the individual, not generic. It has to be targeted, and maintaining or increasing muscle mass is a major priority for the management of people with cancer. Thank you very much.
I'm very honored to be here today. It's a matter of pride for me because I'm Italian and this is an Italian organization, so it's great to be here and be part of this, but also to be part of the scientific community and really learn a lot from experts in other fields. And it's also a chance to see Rob after so many things that we've done together over the years, and I have a surprise for him later on in my talk. Some people tell me I am a coach that wears a lab coat. Some people tell me that I am a scientist that wears a tracksuit. At the moment, I'm a middle-aged man in Lycra. You'll find out more about that. But most of my career, most of my work has been actually worrying about three things, and these were gold, silver, or bronze medal. But human performance is very complex. This is what I've been dealing with in all my career. It's very complex because we cannot get better by doing only one thing. So we heard a lot today about immunology. We heard a lot about exercise. We had hints about nutrition. It's really an holistic approach, and this is what we do with high-performance athletes. So I will focus on 5 key examples from sports science to implement for longevity. The first one is goals. When we prepare a plan for an athlete, we try to find out where we need to get to. How do we win the medal? How do we increase our chances to win a medal? Then training plans, how we design training plans. What do we do? How do we get better? How do we get clever by doing these things? Nutrition, and it's not only about what you eat every day. We talk a lot about timing of nutrition, feeding for the training session, and we do periodization in nutrition too. Because if an athlete is trying to gain weight or gain muscle mass, we feed them differently from a time when they're trying to reduce weight and change muscle mass. So nutrition is not something that is a blanket approach. Is personalized and time-changing. Sleep and recovery. If you don't sleep well, you'll find out there's a lot of things that go wrong. If you don't recover well, there's a lot of things that go wrong. So you cannot progress. And finally, marginal gains, which we heard about it, which has been popularized in the media. I was very fortunate to be part of and leading the British Olympic team at 3 Olympic Games. That's where this term came from, the secret squirrels, the marginal gains, and all that kind of stuff. Create the environment to have a mindset change. I think you need to engage people in self-improvement. Consider them athletes. They are your athletes. They are trying to achieve their medal. Change that mindset. It's not pathology, it's not illness. Attention to details. Good programs make a big difference. Plan things properly, engage them in an holistic approach. Use the right equipment. You don't want injuries. I see some exercises sometimes on Instagram. I go crazy. Why are you doing this? You know, why? You don't want an injury. That's the main thing. You don't want any of your guys injured at any time. They are as valuable as Neymar. They cost less, but they are as valuable as Neymar because they have a life to go to. You don't want them limping to work every day. So that's very important that the plan is key. Adopt the marginal gains, little clever things. You now know that if you feed them at the right time, you get a better return for investment. Teach them, create the space. Give them the opportunity to do so. And don't go to the supplements first, use food first. Start simple, monitor, adjust, learn. When you work with your patients, your clients, you have an opportunity to learn every day, like I do with my athletes. I learn every day. I think I know everything. That's the moment in which I find out I know absolutely nothing every day. Measure things, try things, see what works, engage them in the process. And most of all, reduce the risk of injuries. Your athletes have to be available every day to exercise. Thank you very much.
So I'm Matthew Campert. I'm here from the Cleveland Clinic. There's lots to talk about. We're going to try to focus on exercise as medicine as it applies to obesity. When you're young, the time and effort and energy that you put into training, your returns are much more significant. If you wait until you're 60 to start training for your retirement, then you're going to have a lot of aches and pains along the way, and your rate of return on your time invested in that training is much lower because all of your cells are older and your hormones are lower, so you don't grow and adapt at the same rate. So depending on what you want to do in retirement, you have to have the metabolic machinery to do so. If you just want to lay around and be sedentary, all you have to do is exist. But some people don't live to see retirement, so you can't wait too long to start investing in your retirement from a physical standpoint. If you want to be out hiking and mountain climbing, you need to put some work in, and you need to do it early and consistently. So it's really up to you. You can age with exercise like a fine wine, or age without exercise like a glass of milk. So with this, we're going to talk about two different individuals, a lean, aerobically trained individual, and then an obese, sedentary individual who's on train. And in this condition, they're fasted. So it's been hours since they ate. In theory, their insulin level should be low. Their fuel substrate utilization at rest right now should be focused on fat oxidation. And they should really not be oxidizing glucose in a fasted state because they should be preserving that muscle glycogen for when they need it. As we become less metabolically flexible, we lose that ability to shift to predominantly fat oxidation and blunt glucose oxidation. So what you have to remember is, as physicians, we're very well trained and very skilled in what we do, but we're very specialized, and we don't get a lot of training in nutrition or education. But exercise physiologists do, and they're very skilled and they're very trained in what they do, but they're underutilized and underappreciated. They don't yet have a medical license of their own, so they can't bill and they can't generate revenue, so they're not well respected. But hopefully that changes in the future. The model that we built currently is where myself as a physician and an exercise physiologist, I utilize our exercise physiologists as physician extenders. Like a lot of healthcare systems will utilize nurses or physician assistants to provide care and extend the care of the physician. And the increase in my productivity from their skill set covers the cost and overhead of their salary. So you have to remember, it takes both sides to build a bridge.